Welcome everyone to the latest Wink tutorial, Edius Edition. Today we're going to be going over blurring. Now this is going to be one of the least favorite things that you will ever have to do. They're not overtly difficult, but they can be time consuming, depending on the difficulty of the video. So what I'm going to show you here is how to do a basic blur. So I'm going to go ahead and find the effect, which is going to be the mask filter, and I'm going to drag it onto my video and double click on the mask filter in the information box. I'm going to draw an ellipse around the guy's head that I'm going to be following, which is this guy right here. And I'm going to do it a little bit bigger than his head, and so that way I have a margin for error when I'm moving around. You want to make it a little bit bigger. So we're going to be changing the inside, so that's why I'm going over here to inside. We're going to change the inside of this circle, so we need to put a filter on it. So we're going to click that, and now we're going to select our filter. Go to our drop-down box for video filters and find your Gaussian blur. I don't know how really to pronounce that, but we're going to select it anyway. So now we've got our blur set, so we're going to go ahead and click mask and double-click our ellipse. And what that's going to do is set all the values. And so then from here, I'm just going to move, kind of pick a spot on his head, and I'm just going to move down that timeline just a little bit and then drag. It might be a little too much, so I'm going to back up. So I'm just going to drag. And basically what I'm doing is I'm just creating keyframes. So if you've ever used Adobe Premiere or if you've used Final Cut, you know all about keyframes. And most nonlinear editing software programs use keyframes in some sort. So we're going to just go ahead and create keyframes. So as this guy is moving, I'm just going to kind of scooch it ahead a few frames. I don't want to go too far ahead because if you go too far ahead, then it can kind of look herky-jerky and it makes the ellipse look like it's catching up to the guy instead of smoothly staying with him the entire time. And what we're looking for is the smoothest possible transition from his first frame to his last. So I'm just going to go ahead and and I'm going to go ahead and fast forward a little bit to all the way to the end. So as you can see, we've created quite a few keyframes here, and we've got a few to go, and I'm just going to follow him off the screen as he leaves the view. And so now we can go back and we can watch it from the beginning, and we can see that this gentleman's face is pretty properly blurred the entire way. And we always want to review just to make sure that we didn't miss something or if the blur pops off the guy's face. Now, if you scrub through it too fast, you will see that it looks like it's popping off, but if you go ahead and slow it down and go back and rewatch it again, you'll see that it's actually perfect. So there's a trick in Edius 10 that we can go into and try to do, and it's called tracking. It's supposed to be an easier way for us to be able to mask something, but it's been a little bit wonky and it doesn't work for everything. So I'm going to go ahead and try this tracking with this guy's face right here. So I'm going to go ahead and try to blur him. So the very first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and create my ellipse, and I'm going to put it right over his head, or his face, actually. And go ahead and select my filter here and find the filter I want, which is going to be the Gaussian blur. Check that, select. Okay, so now that I've got that going, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to click on my mask, and I'm going to double click to set all of my values. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to come up here to this little box, and I'm going to select track forward. And you'll see basically what it's doing is it's kind of auto-analyzing this dude's face, and it is basically going to mask it for you. So you don't have to create all of the keyframes. It's going to do it for you. However, once you see what the finished product looks like, I have a feeling it's going to look a little bit wonky. So we're going to go ahead and click OK and take a look to see what it looks like. So it looks fine, and okay, that's a little bit weird. So it doesn't come off his face at all. You can't really make out any facial features, but we would like to see that left portion of his face is actually covered. So you can see that that's not a great example. And then on this one, you'll see that I did this one earlier, and then, whoa, it goes just completely wonky. And I did it with Biden too, and then actually if we go to the very beginning, you'll see his face is completely blurred and it's fine. And then if I hit play and I play out the rest of the clip, you're going to see how it goes from perfect to wonky pretty quickly. Yeah, what is that? I mean, technically it does cover his face, but not in its entirety. And then as he gets down to the bottom of the staircase, it just kind of disappears, and actually it doesn't disappear all the way. It just becomes flat. So the tracking is not always reliable, but you can always give it a try to see if you can kind of cut down on some of your blurring time, because again, some of this can get a little bit time consuming, and in a time crunch, this is something that you're going to want to be able to do quickly. So if you can use the tracking feature and it looks okay, by all means, please use it. But sometimes you might just have to go frame by frame. I hope you learned a little bit in this video today, and until the next tutorial, catch you on the flippity flip.
Please clap.
No.